I'm pretty sure Ben Franklin would be shocked if he was in Washington, D.C. now.
Not what we planned. Wait, so let me get this straight. You guys vote now? Well, guys, the government is unrecognizable. Congress is now a massive nursing home where dementia patients manage all your money. Good luck.
And we need it, as of course now there are some very interesting conspiracy theories from the left talking about the institution of martial law ahead of 2026 midterms and allegedly new civil unrest that will be gripping this nation that allegedly Donald Trump is getting ready for as he is mobilizing the federal National Guard and soldiers and federal forces all around the United States to prepare for unrest. As earlier this year, we have seen some very significant protests, especially against ICE, as those protests have ended. Will there be more protests? Will there be another Summer of Love type of event financed by all the top billionaires like we saw during the BLM riots? Well, a lot of people are saying that that is going to be happening here, as we have some very interesting comments from Alex Jones and Tim Pool that we're going to be playing in this particular video in hindsight of what could only be described as domestic instability coming our way. Is that the actual case here? Is that the actual scenario? Or is that the actual prediction? Well, that's what we are going to be talking about in this particular video. You won't get these types of videos anywhere else, so subscribe. Click the notification button, as of course we greatly appreciate all of the time that you spend with us. This as we have Dean Blumenthal going on social media and saying Trump is trying to institute martial law ahead of the 2026 midterm in blue states and cities. This is about election theft and distracting you from the Epstein files. This is also how civil war begins. This time, the racists are in charge. Well, I would say that's a little bit of a biased take there, But is he too far off with what is going on here? Well, let's examine that. As, of course, a couple days ago, Donald Trump announced this.
And we're here for a very serious purpose, Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly like we did on the southern border. I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam. And
as Donald Trump has called up federal forces, including the FBI, to now patrol the streets along with DEA agents and local police departments that he has taken under federal jurisdiction in order to, quote, keep the streets safe here, as a lot of people are saying. But look at the crime statistics, as I would argue that the crime statistics have been cooked here, and I think there's a reasonable argument to make here that, yes, crime nationwide is down, and it has been going down throughout the last few years. But there's also an obfuscation effort of certain particular crime that a lot of local police departments and jurisdictions just want to make themselves look good on, as of course I personally seen this in places like New York City. And there's also a lot of crime that is not being reported. Now, is this the justification that Donald Trump needed with big balls to have his Reichstag fire type of moment in order to allow the federal government now to patrol the streets of residential areas like this? As we got as we got the latest videos from the latest kind of interactions from federal agents that have been patrolling the streets here, as people have started to videotape these type of very peculiar, interesting interactions. And this is what now life in Washington, D.C. is.
How y'all doing today? Y'all staying in that trouble? You got your ID on you, Chip?
No, I live right here.
Okay, cool.
It's a cigarette. Did y'all get a call or something about right here?
No, so we're doing checks, keeping everybody safe down here, right? Have you heard of the federal surge that Donald Trump's putting out?
No.
Right. You don't follow like
No.
Code 3, anything like that people are putting up? All right, so yeah, Trump's got all federal agencies kind of coming together for 7 days and going out, trying to stop the violent crime, all kind of stuff. So we're out here contacting people, talking to them, right? Quality of life offenses, smoking, drinking in public, right? Can't happen outside, right? Most people know that. Right? So we're contacting people, trying to advise them of the law, so they learn, right? And then if there's other stuff going on where it turns into there's multiple agencies of somebody, there's a shooting and things like that. So there's extra hands available, all right? So we're just out here trying to inform people and educate people.
Now, there's a very, very interesting part to this kind of interaction here. The officer, federal agent, probably FBI or DEI agent, was like, "You got ID on you?" They're like, "No, I live here." It's like, okay, you didn't have to comply with that. He then talks about how he smelled what he thought was marijuana, that he saw them smoking a cigarette, and then just kind of talked to them and described the particular situation that they're involved in here.
Well, it's not like we're trying to just go grab people and ruin someone's life over a joint or something like that, all right?
I only asked because when you walked up, at the moment you walked up, you only had asked me.
Yeah, well, it smelled like the odor of marijuana, burnt marijuana in the air, right? And you're the only guy that had something lit in your hand, and I didn't flash right you, so I didn't realize it was just a cigarette. So that's on me. I appreciate you understanding and not getting chippy with me, all right? So just know, right? Learn, teach, tell your boys, like, yo, everybody's out, from FBI to park police.
So
right?
they go see ATL.
So do your thing. Let them know. Don't be smoking outside. Don't be drinking outside. Because Donald Trump is tired of it. People coming to visit.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know smoking in public?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the recipable
Because in
effects.
Maryland, there's recreational use, so I didn't know.
Yeah, so DC, it's recreational use as well, right? But you can legally possess up to 2 ounces. You can gift an ounce to your boy, right? So if you had 2 ounces and he said he needed a zip, you can give him a zip, but you can't smoke outside.
This, as some people are saying, this officer actually, quote, is doing a great job. More of this, please. Other people are saying, notice how everyone was respectful and compliant and nobody got arrested or hurt, man. Other people are saying, nah, man, we're just out here doing mathematics. Showing the screenshot of this guy here. A lot of other people are saying, good cop and federally mandated cigs inside, kind of. And then he talks about smoking. I think they were talking about marijuana. And yeah, it is kind of a public nuisance to be smoking marijuana in public. I'm all for legalizing everything, personally myself, here. But before talking about the kind of reaction here and the theories of what's going on here, because I think at a certain point, we do need to entertain some of these theories. And I think they are worth considering, especially with the civil unrest that is building up in this country, that a lot of people believe will be crescendoing during Donald Trump's administration, just like it did last time. So before talking about the potential civil unrest, what Alex Jones and what Tim Pool are saying, we wanted to tell you about We Are Change.shop. We got a lot of great products. We got some really awesome supplements, but we also have teas here. We just restocked our white peach tea, but we also still have the lemon ginger organic green tea available to you here on wearechange.shop. Just for $17, you get a big bag of it. And you get a whole bunch of tea from it. As of course, a lot of people report drinking green tea that is promoting their gut health, balancing their blood sugar, reducing inflammation, promoting heart health, liver health, being an antioxidant. That's what some people report when they drink some green tea, as there's also some very interesting studies talking about how green tea protects the body against toxins, specifically pesticides, mold, heavy metals, arsenic, and other ingredients. Other people are talking about how green tea is responsible for the increased activation of the longevity gene, FOX03, and whatever it may be. I just like tea. Now, will my tea do all those things? Again, do your own homework and research. I don't want to be making all those bold claims here, but it is gosh darn good tea. And the marketing here, my friend was telling me this tea is absolutely 100% on brand with what you represent. As of course, our mascot is a happy set of male reproductive organs with a hat that says "Sip Happens," and our tagline is "Don't get tea bag because we don't have it in tea bags." Tea bags have a lot of microplastics. Microplastics have been found in people's reproductive organs, and therefore we decided to create a tea where the bag that the tea comes in and how you brew the tea actually doesn't leak microplastics into your own body, as this is organic lemon ginger green tea that is really good, really awesome. I can't recommend it enough. A lot of people sell coffee. I'm like, why? Try this out. You'll love it. I love it. Get the tea right now. We are Change.shop to support this independent media organization. Now, let's go back to the National Guard here that are now patrolling the streets of Washington, D.C. As some people are saying, this couldn't come soon enough, as it's pretty clear here. The liberals, the leftists, the Democrats, and the police chief. People are like, boy, this is the police chief? This is the mayor? Like, really? The police chief didn't even know what chain of command even means. That's the type of insanity that a lot of these cities are dealing with right now. I got to play this clip.
That's what the chain of command is now?
What does that mean?
Well,
What? Tell me you're cooked without being cooked. How cooked are you? Goodness gracious.
is it Pam Bondi speaking to the mayor, speaking to you, or how does this work?
So the executive order is clear. The president has...
What does that mean? I'm out. Woo, peace. As some people in Washington, D.C. are saying, yeah, this is great because the level of criminality, the level of bedlam that people are dealing with is pretty high.
We need all the protection that we can get in the city because the city is really getting dangerous. A person like me at this age, I have to make sure to come home before sundown.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy that people have to live like this, as we have a very interesting article from the Washington Post that is talking about how the Pentagon is creating a plan for, quote, reaction forces in preparation for civil unrest. Now, this has been happening for quite a long time. I remember me, Alex Jones, and other prominent independent media figures, even 20 years ago under the Bush era years, talking, kind of warning about this. Like, hey, they're preparing for military on the streets. They're violating posse comitatus. They're doing all these drills. They're doing all these exercises for civil unrest here. They're going to crack us down, put us in the FEMA camps. And listen, these plans, hypothetical plans, readiness plans, have been in the books for quite a long time. Now, automatically 20 years ago, I was more alarmed by them. But after 20 years of doing independent media, all the administrations always have these kind of plans. During key moments of chaos, of protest, they are always practicing and drilling, mobilizing the National Guard, mobilizing civil forces to squash any type of potential threat against the government and the protests against the government. Now, I would argue Donald Trump was extremely weak during his first term, as we have to remember the BLM riots, where huge protests took over the United States, burnt down cities, created hundreds of millions of dollars of damage, took the lives of 36 individuals. I would argue that Donald Trump was very soft on crime and was literally sitting on his hands as protesters were taking over entire police departments. Police departments were evacuating their buildings because of the massive amount of protest and the massive amount of not being prepared for any of this. So now these new documents reviewed, talking about how the National Guard's mission is to adopt and to be ready with hundreds of troops to be ready around the clock for any kind of civil disobedience, makes sense here. As the Trump administration, quote, is evaluating plans that would establish a domestic civil disturbance quick reaction force composed of hundreds of National Guard troops tasked with rapidly deploying into American cities facing protest or other unrest, according to internal Pentagon documents reviewed by the Washington Post. Now, we have seen what has happened in Los Angeles. Massive protests, massive riots, lots of federal agencies specifically being protested. And then the federal government kind of had to come in there, send in the National Guard, and say, hey, now we're going to make sure that ICE is able to carry out their operations. And then Donald Trump kind of doubled down on that and said, you know what? Yeah, we're going to do more deportations now. The more you protested, as of course, left-wing governors and mayors of California and Los Angeles came out and were like, what are you doing? This is the overreach of power. You're violating states' rights. And Trump was like, no, I've kind of had it. Now, there's also a lot of people on the right arguing, you know, if the left wants to live in bedlam and insanely let them live in it, while other people are making the argument saying, no, these are our cities. There's people in there that are being held captive by the left-wing Democratic crime-ridden George Soros-financed prosecutors and district attorneys that clearly are going very easy on real actual crime while persecuting and punishing people to the fullest extent of the law, especially if they are white or Republican or conservative or have Christian values. And we have seen that even with federal law enforcement under the Biden administration that was going after parent school teacher conference participants and members of the Catholic Church. As a lot of pro-life organizations have been targeted, arrested, and charged federally. Now, what is Donald Trump doing here? Is he getting ready for civil war? As this is what Alex Jones says. Civil war alert. The Democratic Party threatened civil insurrection and race war to usher in their brand of tyranny. President Trump's response has been to prepare for it constitutionally by restoring law and order in D.C. As this is what Alex Jones had to say about this entire matter and situation.
Now the media is telling you that, Trump's insane. Why, D.C. is just a wonderland. Because the left was planning civil insurrection. They were planning to overthrow the Trump administration. That was the plan by John Podesta. They said, if he wins, we'll have civil insurrection and we'll make it race-based. But it's not working. And now Trump is set up and ready when they try to pull it again with their No Kings type protest, where they come out and attack the police and ICE and shoot at them and throw cinder blocks at them. And you've seen it. Yeah, Jasmine Crockett, Democrat base, wants to see a fight over redistricting.
Yeah. Now, again, we have seen very hyperbolic language from the left here, especially when it comes to the fights that soon might be changing the congressional map in Texas and in Florida. Something that, of course, the Democrats have been doing for a while against the Republicans. Now the Republicans are starting to, of course, fight back here. As Tim Pool decided to talk about this last night, as he had his live stream titled "Trump to Launch Reaction Force to Fight Leftist Unrest. Democrat Cries Civil War." And there are people on the left saying, it's a civil war. I can't believe he's doing this. And I don't think we're there at this particular situation here, as Chuck Todd is warning that America is headed towards a, quote, cold civil war, specifically over this redistricting battle. Now, clearly, the left isn't too happy with Donald Trump, isn't too happy about his immigration policies, isn't too happy about right-wing states now gerrymandering, and this is what the left has been doing before. They did it as a way to get rid of Cynthia McKinney, Dennis Kucinich, and other people who weren't playing ball with the leftist kind of establishment type of politics. And then they did it against other Republicans for a while. And now there's a situation where some people, like Jasmine Crockett, will be losing her position of power. Why? Because of redistricting in Texas and congressional representation being kind of shifted around towards being more favorable towards Republicans in Republican states. Obviously, when someone's losing all that power, they are going to be screaming and fighting for that power. As I thought, Chuck Todd's kind of comments here were very interesting. As of course, I think this kind of word moniker "civil war" gets thrown out a little bit too loosely sometimes. But we are in a situation. We are, as we have to remember and remind ourselves, in a predicament like we were under Trump's first administration, where the temperature in the room is rising, and we do have the Luigi Mangione type of connection between left-wing people who are not happy with the federal government and people who are CEOs. You do have that brewing. You do have now multiple attacks by people who have called for the freeing of Palestine by deciding to commit radical acts of violence. Now, is what Donald Trump is doing right now preemptive against what he sees as right now, especially with the Palantir tech that Donald Trump has access to, with all the databases on everyone, especially with all the predictive programming, artificial intelligence, CIA-linked type of tech here? Is he seeing, oh crap, there's going to be record amounts of protest against me that are going to try to overthrow me, that are going to try to dissuade me from getting my agenda through? I need to usurp this. I need to get ready to, of course, deal with this upcoming kind of civil unrest here that some people would liken to civil war here. Is that exactly what's going on here? That's a theory. That's my kind of theory of what I think potentially could be happening here. Now, whether it's good or bad, I think we have to understand here that there are powers at the end of these particular causes here that are very powerful, that want to see chaos, want to see destruction. And we've seen that through a lot of the kind of George Soros linked type of policies that have absolutely wreaked havoc on normal life for average Americans here. Now, Peak Headset coming out and saying that, listen, there could be another civil war as he is restoring Confederate monuments at the Arlington National Cemetery. I don't think that's a wrong thing to do here, as of course that is a part of our history. Destroying a part of our history isn't going to, of course, change it. It is about domination. It is about power. And people will do a lot to hold on to their power. And then there's a lot of forces out there, powerful forces out there, trying to usurp the authority and power that is currently in play right now. Is Donald Trump doing the right thing by mobilizing troops here for potential civil unrest here? Or is there a bigger thing at play here that the leftists are talking about, a potential martial law, full government lockdown and crackdown of any type of activity that dares to speak out against them? What do you think? For my assessment, listen, my assessment, I think they're reading the tea leaves and understanding there's going to be a lot of organized, orchestrated type of events here that I think Donald Trump is trying to get ahead of. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comment section below. I think these topics are worth discussing since a lot of these moves are a little bit of a extraordinary, to say the least here. While it happens, make sure to have your tea to sip on it because you don't want sip to happen to you. Thank you for everyone that supports us. Thank you for everyone watching. And I love you guys. Stay tuned for more. All here exclusively on youtube.com/wearechange.